My husband is blind, and we met 7 years ago.
Yeah. I feel like we've been together forever.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Yeah.
Like, it's hard to remember not being together. It just feels like it's been always this way.
It was definitely a turning point in my life. It was one of the most incredible, cherished summers of my life.
Oh, it was so beautiful.
Because it was exactly this time of year. We met on June 10th, 2016.
Yeah. In fact, if you want to hear the whole story of how we met on a dating app, that is right here. Go catch up.
Yeah. So that's all about kind of the first encounter and all of those early things.
Yeah.
But today we really want to dive in to what that first summer was like, what it was like dating each other, and like kind of when we knew this was more than just
it was the summer
casual
of love.
It was, to be totally cliche. I feel so incredibly fortunate that I got that experience with you.
Yeah, it was beautiful. I mean, we just had a lot of time. We relaxed. We just enjoyed doing so much. We're so busy these days. It's hard for me to imagine life like that, where we were on picnics and walks all the time, and we would just...
Okay, so you're helping me realize something that I've been trying to articulate lately. Is I was listening to another couple's love story on a podcast.
Yeah.
And their story was so interesting in that it was during a transitional time in their lives. And it was like each of them were going through a transition from kind of one chapter to a next. Just like you and I were. And this is so incredibly fortunate for both of us. Like, you were finishing school and you had this time. In fact, before you met me, you said you'd been talking to your therapist and you were like uncertain about the future. What is going to happen next? Your therapist told you, embrace the uncertainty.
Yeah. Lean into that uncomfortable uncertainty.
And I was going through a transition experience of my own. I had been sober for 1.5 years. I was in a roommate situation that I was looking to kind of get out of. And I was just looking to take the next step in my life. And it just so happens we meet each other at this fulcrum in our lives. Now, so many people don't have that kind of control. So they could meet when their lives are crazy and busy and full and hectic. And how do you integrate two lives? So I often actually now look back on the fact that we met with this like turning point as being so fortunate for us. Because we got to take that turning point together. We leaned into, I think, the experience of us.
Yeah. We took that turn together and
we could have chosen not to.
Yeah. Not really.
Why?
Well, because we were both at this like uncertain time, and so we met, and then we kind of like forged and created this new path, new direction for both of us together. Otherwise, what? We would have needed to break up.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like we could have met each other and been like, and like we had. The world was sort of like an open book for each of us. And we could have, like a choose your own adventure. Did you ever have one of those books as a kid?
Yeah. I was not the biggest fan of them because I would actually just go and like read all the paths. And I would be like,
you would.
I was like, this is just...
Okay. This is a little bit of a side tangent, but Matthew is what you call a maximizer. And there's two types of people in the world. There's satisficers, maximizers. Satisficer, they find something they like, they stop right there, they like it. Say you're turning dial on the radio, you find a song you like. I stop, I listen, I'm happy. Matthew's like, that's a great song. Now let's check every other station to see if there's a better one.
I do this with restaurants. I want to try everything on the menu and then decide my favorite.
Okay,
Paul might walk in and order one thing and he likes it and he decides that that's his favorite and he's always ordering it.
Yes. Exactly. And I'm always happy. I think a satisficer is more often happy and content. Maximizers, I think, because they take so many risks and spend so much time searching, are not as happy. But let's bring this back to the relationship.
For example, lunch today, when we have lunch after this, I'm going back and I have tried every salad now on the menu.
On this
So I am going to go and now I have decided of the 7 or 8 salads. Which one is my favorite? I know what I'm going to order.
And I've had the same salad 4 times now. And I really like it. But I take bites of yours, okay? Now, can we bring this back to the relationship in terms of being a maximizer? How many relationships had you had before you met me? Going into a relationship with a disabled person and being a maximizer, thinking, what other options are out there? Can you give me some insight about how that personality type approached a relationship like ours?
Well, that meant I was dating like several people at once. It was you
No.
and like 7 other people.
No, it was not.
I had to stop at 7 because there's at least 7 days of the week, and I wasn't into double dating. No, not true. This was my, I guess, 3rd or 4th attempt at a relationship. I had some long ones, some very, very short ones, and
What was your longest?
like 5 years almost.
Almost 5
yeah,
years.
almost 5 years.
And
the
your
short was
shortest?
like 2 months, maybe 3.
That's actually good for a short relationship. I would say my shortest was 2 days. I don't know if you can call it a relationship. I had a lot of 2-week relationships in college.
Yeah. You were the very first person with a disability that I had actually dated. That meant I did all of the driving for us that first summer that we met. I drove back and forth between the US and Vancouver to get you or to come see you. I was your wheels. I was your chauffeur.
I'm glad you saw it that way.
Yeah. Except I made you sit in the front seat and we held hands.
Well, of course.
Every single trip. We also did a road trip. Like we decided spur of the moment. Kind of crazy.
How many weeks in? I want to say it was about 7 weeks into our relationship. We went on a big road trip together.
I think you said, let's go on a road trip.
I kind of tested the waters and I was really surprised that you were like, yeah, sure, let's do it. Because I asked you on week 2.
We lived up near the
Canadian border
in Washington State. We drove all the way down to San Francisco. I would
because
not say yes
we haven't
to you
mentioned
now.
this. I'm Canadian, and so that's why you were crossing the border a lot. But,
well, if they watched the previous video,
which I hope you did.
Go watch how we met.
So we were going to go all the way into the San Francisco Bay Area where my dad was living. And that's how many days? I mean, it's at least 2 days on the road.
I think it's 14 hours of driving one way, which I would not do now.
No.
But, you're in love. You'll do anything.
And we
Your
couldn't
new
split the driving duty.
Hot date says, let's do this. You're like, yeah, whatever. We could not split the driving duty. So I did all of the driving.
You know what was really cool about that
But
summer?
you were a great co-pilot. You were
I
just
was?
great entertainment. I mean, you talked.
Oh, I talked the whole time.
Yeah.
I did not want you to fall asleep, but also I was like, we were still getting to know each other.
Yeah.
And learning about each other. And the thing I loved about you, and the thing that made me, of course, fall in love with you very early on, was we could talk endlessly about everything. And I felt I could be so honest. So we talked that whole time and we had a really crazy, fun experience. That road trip, it was just super, super special.
I was still learning your disability. I was still figuring out and learning how much sight you had, what situations you could see in, because it's challenging for a fully sighted person to kind of learn how to best help, what you can do, what you can't do. And so it was a really fascinating time for me because I was learning and making mistakes.
You did a better job than anybody has ever done, including any of my family members. And no shade to anybody else, but I think it's just the way your mind works. You've done a better job than I had ever even done in terms of like understanding my own vision loss. Matthew immediately was like, oh, you need more contrast. I'm like, huh? Contrast? He's like, yeah, we need more dark things on light things on dark things. And I was like, I never actually thought about that, but you're absolutely 100% right. And he's like, you need more light. I mean, I've told this story on our TikTok, but it is worth repeating that the most romantic thing anybody's ever done for me was on my first visit to Matthew's apartment.
Yeah.
On that 3rd or 4th date was that he replaced every light bulb in the house with 100-watt bulbs, including adding lights to dark corners.
Oh yeah, those little stick-on LED strips.
Yeah.
So handy if you have someone who's visually impaired and needs more light. Just stick them everywhere. Everywhere. Like under the dishwasher, by the washer, dryer, closets.
You put them in cupboards. You had
cupboards.
Cupboards would become illuminated.
Yeah.
Inside. I mean, it was incredibly thoughtful. So you thought of things that nobody had thought about, including myself. That was really, really amazing. It comes back to that maximizing personality of yours. I think it's like never leaving a stone unturned, always thinking of all these possibilities.
Yeah. So we had this incredible, just barely touched on it, this incredible summer of love. We were doing picnics several times a week, walking hand in hand.
Everywhere hand in hand. I didn't use my cane at all that summer.
No, I would not.
You were my cane.
But this meant a lot of border crossing, a lot of going through immigration checkpoints, crossing from Washington, going to Vancouver, and then back again. And we didn't have any trouble with any of those crossings all summer long until the end of the summer.
Yeah.
It was late summer, and we went through the crossing one day, and this border agent,
he did not like us. We were holding hands, as we always did, and looking totally in love. And he was kind of a jerk. But, you know, they can be that way. They can be a little stern sometimes.
Yeah, 99% of the time they are.
Yeah.
But he looked at on his computer screen, the record of all our crossing, and he's like, you guys have been doing an awful lot of crossing. And summer's over, school has started. And he started to give us this whole
He thought we were in school, apparently.
I was very flattered that he thought we were two little college kids.
Yeah. And he grilled me on where I lived in Canada. And I think he said, are you paying rent? And I said, of course. And he said, no, not of course. Don't
There
say
is
of
no
course.
of
There is
course.
no. I was like, oh, Paul, don't say another word.
Yeah, things got very tense. Things got very heated. And he finally said, I'm not sure if I should let you through today. And I'm sitting there thinking, oh no.
The relationship's over.
The guy I've fallen in love with is about to be banned from the US.
How are we going to proceed?
I'm going to have to turn around, drop him back at his house in Canada, and he'll never be able to come down and see me again.
So obviously this was a really big, one of those moments in the relationship that was sort of a game changer.
And you'll find out what happened next time.
The next installment.
We make it through?
Did we find each other? Okay, but on the extended episode today, I want to dive into that road trip.
Oh, yeah. That was a crazy road trip. So much happened.
Let's do a little deep dive. Let's talk about it because it was definitely the moment I feel that our relationship got tested the most. And did it pass the test?
So this epic 14-hour car ride from Northern Washington.
Okay, if you guys want to watch the extended episode where we talk all about that infamous road trip, then please go to patreon.com/his and his, where you can access everything. And by the way, you will also get access to 3 years of our exclusive podcast. Every episode has an extended portion. Plus we did bonus episodes. I mean, there is a treasure trove of
there's
material. Many
more
stories.
than you want to know.
Way more than you want to know.
More than we want you to know about us. If you're on YouTube, you can tap right here. This will take you to Patreon right now. Or we also have the extended videos on YouTube right here.
Okay, but you know what my favorite part about the summer was?
What?
All the ice cream.
I thought you were going to say the picnics by the rose bushes.
Well, that was nice too.
The rose bush
We were
picnics.
often eating ice cream even there.